You kind of lost me at data transfer. I don't know what's going on.
FTP, file transfer protocol.
Now, what we have to remember is that not every position can be changed to every other position.
And making sure that the users we have now stay happy and stay on while trying to attract some other people to play it.
They make
Hustle
my
home, but
for that.
yeah. No, that's over in a heartbeat. Ain't got any problem with that.
Some clips from last season and some good ones. Definitely had some good shows. Tonight is another one of those good shows. It's an opportunity for the community to be told basically of some changes that are in the very near future at Gridiron Dynasty. And it is my pleasure to be able to have a platform where that information can be disseminated. So, it's not the Arkansas platform. This is Majique's platform. And we're going to go ahead and get Jordan on. Y'all may know him as jholthus. He's our WIS staffer, and he's the one that's been working behind the scenes recently, try to get things ironed out for us. I know a lot of folks have had a lot of questions about the whole playoff thing, and when is it coming? Is it coming? How's it coming? What are we going to do with it? When do we know anything about it? What'll it look like? So, Jordan, I'm just going to turn it over to you, brother, and let you run with
it. That works. Thanks for having me on again, Mike.
Man,
so
I'll let you go for it.
No problem. It's been a little bit since we've touched base with the community. I get tickets in, and if you kind of submit tickets, sometimes I'll allude to things and that kind of stuff. But we haven't really come out and announced any real changes for a while. I think on the forums, I think we did do an update around November. And most of what that came out with was just some tools for me to kind of help make some back office stuff a little easier. Allows me to do some stuff in hardball. For Hoops Dynasty, the way it works is if you put in a reservation for a team, you can't actually see who you reserved that for, and you can't take it out. So that's another change we brought out to be able to do that by yourself. Some things we're kind of looking to bring out here in the near future, because through tickets, I've kind of discovered that more than just Gridiron people watch this, so that's good. That's great. Some things that we are looking to bring out soon is right now there's a glitch in Hoops Dynasty where if you have what they're called attention points, they're used for recruiting. If you have them in a player and then the player ends up committing to another school or whatever, he becomes no longer eligible for those attention points to be used. Sometimes they'll get stuck on those signed players. And so we're bringing out a tool that will let me release those points. Again, that's not really forward facing for the community, but just kind of a nice little convenience thing. Cause I know, people lose out on half the recruiting budget, if you would, in Hoops Dynasty if they can't release that. So being able to do that will help a lot, especially because I do tend to be on a little later into the evenings most days. We're also looking to bring out improved kind of an AI for Hardball Dynasty, where right now we're having to do a ton of manual work right now on getting rosters filled, particularly in teams' minor leagues, where they don't have enough players to fill a roster, or they got a bunch of people on the DL and they don't have enough people to take at bats, or all their pitchers are gassed, or whatever it is. And so we're looking to bring out an AI feature where it will help us fill those gaps a little bit and fill in some of the roster, so that we don't have to go in every day and continually manually update that just to even get games to simulate. So that'll be nice. I know for other future updates, we're looking to bring out for Gridiron, if you reserve a team, we'll also be able to undo that reservation. I think right now they don't actually have the reservation's a little weird for Gridiron Dynasty, but you'll be able to undo that same as you will with Hoops Dynasty. Back on Hoops Dynasty, one thing we're looking to do is improve the firing logic. Right now, we're getting kind of some mixed reviews, but a lot of people are saying really great programs that are in good conferences. There are teams and coaches that are having mediocre success or not very good success for the program and the prestige that program has. And so we're bringing, going to revamp that a little bit and try to get that a little more realistic so that you do have to meet certain expectations to maintain that job, particularly at the higher levels. Not so much if you're rebuilding, it shouldn't impact that quite as much. I mean, obviously it's all going to impact a little bit, but it should impact the higher prestige teams more than anything. And then for both Sim League and Hardball, we're looking to do some park updates. The way the ballpark effects are working, bring out new additional ballparks to hardball. So just some kind of stuff to kind of modernize that, because some of the hardball, particularly if you liked, I don't know, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but if you select a franchise that no longer plays at their stadium, so like Yankees might still be at the old Yankee Stadium and not the new Yankee Stadium. So we're going in and we're going to update some of that to where if you select a certain franchise, if that team is now playing at a different stadium, it will be updated and current. So kind of make that more modern and ready to go. One more thing before I get to the major announcement for GD is, as you can see, we're starting to work on swag again. We are kind of testing some drop shipper stuff. We've been designing stuff. We're bringing out, if you pay attention and follow us on our social media sites, you'll see we brought out new logos. We're not rebranding. We're just trying to make it look more clean, more crisp, more modern. Plus, I mean, it probably just needs a facelift anyway. So all around, just trying to get some of that out. We don't have a store for the merch yet. We're, like I said, still trying to testing like drop ship services, determining like what kind of items we want to have for sale and that kind of thing. But we are looking to get that implemented sometime here down the road. I know Chris is working really hard on kind of getting a lot of these features we're trying to get done. He's working really hard to get them on the site. So now for the big one for GD, as the kind of title of this in the forums and everything kind of alluded to it, we are bringing out D1A playoffs for Gridiron Dynasty. It will be the standard 32-team format, and I'll get to kind of the justification behind that here in a minute. And we wanted to give everybody at least a season to kind of prepare for that and whatever, base their scheduling on, just planning on making playoffs or shooting for a top seed or whatever it is. So we're giving everybody a full season on that. So as it says right now, the first world to get playoffs will be Rockney. They're in recruiting right now, and then signups will begin again in beginning of January. Right now it shows January 13th. So that will be the first world to actually bring out the playoffs, and then obviously it will cycle through the worlds as they roll over following that run in Rockney. And the reason behind the 32 teams, I know a lot of people wanted it to be, maybe mimic real life or at least be more selective. And why we can understand that. The reason we didn't is, one, just for the sake of rewriting the code. I know firsthand from this experience, it was not just a copy paste like we think a lot of this stuff should be. I mean, parts of it obviously probably were, but we had issues with how, the team history was displaying, how the coach history was displaying, just like little, if you click on certain things, little logos to show up for trophies and things like that was not there. We had an issue where, like, if you were the national champion, you like beat every single team in the entire world that year. So like it took a little bit to get it fine-tuned, which is also why it didn't come out quite as early as we were hoping to. We were kind of hoping to maybe bring it out kind of more correlating to real life playoff. But with all those hangups, it kind of delayed it just enough that we couldn't quite get the timing right. We also thought that the 32-team playoff would be good because since we're eliminating bowls, it allows those mid-major conferences that still probably wouldn't get, 8 teams into the playoffs, or, be one of the 8 teams into playoffs. It'll still give them the opportunity to get bowl money, and if they make a playoff run, that kind of a thing. And then it just works for the money as a whole for everybody, because, I mean, the way it works, the lower levels, you get X amount for first round, X amount for second round, X amount for third round, and for every team that advances and things like that. So it's working the same way at D1. So it's just basically keeping it as a kind of a fair way for mid-majors and just all the conferences as a whole to be able to bring in enough recruiting money to still be, to still feel like it's making an impact. I will say, I think from the experience that I had through the couple of seasons we did test, I think and don't put me this on this for sure. It was just maybe an observation, but I do feel like the money might be slightly lower than it was with the Bulls. And again, it can be something we look into. And again, we are in a sim-AI world, so it's hard to also know like what that looks like when the world has got humans that are making playoff runs as opposed to, 5 sim teams that were eliminated right away first round. So, but yeah, we're excited about all of that. I think you're on mute.
That's a lot. I mean, it really is, and not just the playoff stuff, but everything that's going on, behind the scenes. I mean, between, you mentioned hardball, you've got the college hoops, you've got college football, hockey. It's just, and if I'm not mistaken, there's racing as well. Or there used to be.
There used to be clutch. There's still soccer. We don't really monitor that one as well. But yeah.
But it's just, man, it's a whole lot going on, and still, again, a limited staff. So it is a Christmas present. Even though you mentioned January 13th being the beginning of the first season that will actually have the D1A playoff in the Rockney world. So,
correct.
We, like you said, we've got a whole season to go, knowing now that at the next time we start recruiting, it'll be for the season that contains those playoffs. And then thereafter, the other worlds will fall in line, right in line with the recruiting and the season startup. So like everybody has at least, one season to get ready for it. Like you said, to prepare. A couple questions, right off the bat. You talked about the fact that it's a 32 team format. The conference winners, are they guaranteed to make the playoffs? I'm assuming they would be.
Yeah, so conference. It's, and from what I understand, it's going to mimic the exact same way it does the lower of us. So see, even if you're outside, per chance you're outside the top 32 at D1, you'd still make the playoff seed. It would still base you on that seeding. So even if you were the 33rd team, you won your conference, you're still going to be an 8th seed. So it's going to work the same way. But yeah, it's going to work. Everybody who wins a conference championship will still be in there. There'll be a lot of mid-major bids, obviously, because you only have the 12 conferences or whatever it is at D1. So I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be creating a lot of parity. You lose your one game to your division rival, you don't get to go to the conference championship. Well, now you have an opportunity to still go get a national title. Like, I think it's going to be huge on that front for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it'll open up the world at D1 too for those coaches who, can't necessarily land those elites like they may want to, or, get in a conference where, it's a murderer's row, like the SEC, for instance, where you're constantly beating each other up. The Big Ten, I mean, it's just crazy. So now coach can actually get a MAC conference team and win that conference or do well enough to get in the playoff and still be able to see how he does against some of those teams in those other conferences and still get those potentially deep playoff runs that he wouldn't otherwise get with the system being non-playoff essentially. So
right. I definitely think it'd be big for mid-majors. I agree with that. And I think I feel like I've already noticed, like, not so much maybe at D3 or D2 even so much, because the talent levels can be pretty big there, or talent gaps can be pretty big. But at D1 AA, where they're a little more level, I feel like things kind of balance out in playoffs a little bit, where some of those lower seeds can maybe still surprise some people. And so I think we're at D1 where that talent gap is going to be even smaller. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, if we do get some mid-majors that are out there finally actually competing for national championships.
Yeah, and you could have a team that's a mid-major who's really stacked and they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, although those teams may not have a very high prestige or ranking based on GD because of who they are. And now this really tough team can, like you said, surprise some folks in the playoffs because they are, in fact, a very good team or a very well-coached team. As we see, some coaches have the ability to take, high schoolers and beat the Penn States of the world.
Yes.
We've got a private message. Let me see. Oh, that's Jay. He just said he's excited. Well, I'm sure he's not alone in that sentiment. We've been talking about this for almost a year. It's been tossed about. Now that it's actually coming to fruition, I'm sure a lot of people are excited, and not just because it's there and it's a reality. It's the excitement is that it actually infuses a bit of life into the program, into the Gridiron Dynasty world, because it is a change that a lot of people look forward to, and it's a change that will make the game a little more interesting. We're losing the bowls by name, if I understood correctly.
Correct.
So, if you were a fan of going to the Alamo Bowl, well, you better buy your tickets in real life because you're not going here.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out, because I have a feeling we're going to see some surprises. Some of these upper echelon schools are going to be taken down a peg or two, I think, when they run up against some of these mid-majors, just because that team is stacked or has a good coach. And I'm looking forward to that. That's the part I'm excited about, is the upsets, because there's going to be some.
Right. Well, and hopefully, the other kind of big thing that I think at some point we'd like to tackle is kind of that elite system within GD. And I think this is at least a step to kind of maybe eliminate that a little bit. You know what I mean? The elite's still going to have an advantage, but at least now you get a chance to compete against them. It's not, kind of like the old BCS rankings. It's not the computer deciding that since it's an elite who had a loss, it gets ahead of you and you were undefeated. You get a shot to control your own destiny now.
Yeah. And let's see. Bob asked, was there any thought given to leaving one or more worlds as bowl worlds? Good question.
We didn't think
and
of
we're going to bring you on
anything.
here, Bob, to have that discussion. There you go. Welcome, everybody. Bob.
Hello, everyone.
Brought you
my
on out of
friend.
nowhere.
That's my homie right there.
Repping the hockey world, but there's no
There you go.
manager yet. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There wasn't a lot of debate about keeping bowls for now. I think, the way the coding is kind of, from what I understand, is honestly, even they've said if sometimes you can change something in GD and it will, the way the coding works on the site as a whole, it could even affect something clear in Hoops Dynasty or Hardball Dynasty. Wow. So right now we're kind of keeping things just uniform and centralized. That way if something blows up or whatever, we kind of know where to find it. I think at some point we want a hybrid, kind of like real life is kind of aiming for, where we will have bowls with playoffs. I think right now the main focus was just get the playoff out there until real life slows down and figures out what number they're settling on, where we're going, how many, things like that. But no, we didn't really talk about keeping just bowl specific worlds.
Any other questions, Bob, before we bring Jay on?
Nah, bring Jay on. Get me out of here. I don't want to kill your ratings too badly.
Jay is showing that he needs to connect a microphone before we can add him to the stream. So, Jay, if you want to come on, connect that microphone and we'll bring you on. And for those of you that don't know Bob, I mean, my gosh, if you're playing GD, surely you know Bob. Surely you know of his product, Gridiron Dynasty Reports, the GD Reports, and it's a tool that yeah, exactly. Click them, double click them. I mean, it's a tool that is just phenomenal. A lot of work went into that, and it's not cheap and it's not easy to maintain it. So, hats off to Bob. Definitely enjoy his product. Guess Jay doesn't have anything for us. So back to you, the guest of honor. He says, I'm on my phone, stuck in a hotel. Oh, wow. The house got hit by the tornado. Everyone is, Jay, man,
okay, though.
Glad to hear everyone's okay. And I hope everything goes well with the home front and getting everything squared away. I know that's, that's part of living where we do in this country. Here in Arkansas, it started about 100 miles north of us. And, that tornado just went clean across parts of Tennessee as well as Kentucky. So a lot of people out there that have family members who are, right now essentially homeless. And a lot of people out there have lost loved ones. So definitely in our thoughts and prayer. And it's never a good time for any of that to happen, but especially around, the holiday season makes it, doubly painful. So It's just a sad situation. And Jay, you know good and well, brother, if anybody on here can help you with anything, all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is reach out, and you may be surprised at who lives nearby that can help you out with something. So don't hesitate to holler at us. But again, back to you, Jordan. As far as the whole scheme of the upgrades, I know everybody is in hypothetical land talking about what could be in the future, what should be in the future. Is there anything happening to where you can see it's starting to become easier to do the upgrades? Are y'all starting to understand the background and the platform a little bit better so that some of those hurdles are being removed?
I think since I just hear the devs talk and Chris right now, Jacob right now is the one that kind of is focusing on updates. Chris is kind of working on rewrites of other types. So Jacob is right now doing kind of more of the updates, and it sounds like it's game dependent, honestly. Like, for Hoops Dynasty, it sounds like that one's actually relatively easy to make changes for. And Gridiron Dynasty, for whatever reason, it's actually one of the more complex ones. I don't know if it was how it was coded or what exactly, but making changes sometimes for that one, it sounds like it's really difficult to get it right. I think they have a better understanding, like overall, of what they need to do to change it, where they need to look. I know Jacob and Chris, they always constantly bouncing ideas off of each other, and Chris is really great at usually troubleshooting some things. So I think it's getting easier, but I mean, there's still constantly hurdles, which is kind of why Chris is working on some of that rewrite stuff so that we can get everything kind of into one unified, code base. And then when we push things out, it'll be a lot easier because we already know everything is something that they've written. They'll kind of know where to look and all that stuff, and they don't have to dig through it. I know they're trying to also bring kind of like some tools out that will help them and help them find some things that, where issues might be and things. So trying to make that a little bit more streamlined, but it is still a challenge here and there.
Man, I don't even want to begin to think of what that looks like, when you're talking coding. Just as little as I know about it, I know it can be a nightmare, especially when you've had different coders or programmers who each have their own signature, their individual way of doing things. And it's like me with Excel spreadsheet. I can make the spreadsheet do what I want. And somebody comes in behind me and, codes it out or does the macro in 1/10 of the keystrokes that I did in it. So I know it can be challenging, and unraveling that ball can sometimes be, frustrating enough in of itself to where you just want to throw in the towel. But glad to see everybody there's got the stick-to-itiveness to keep going. Keep this game alive. I know at one point we thought it had a foot in the grave already. So looking forward to that. Definitely stoked about the swag coming out. We see the hat and the shirt. Tell us about how soon and what kind of swag we can look for.
As far as, I don't know if we have a time frame yet. I think that kind of depends more like when Chris is able to get kind of the stuff he's rewritten done. They're kind of, Sports Hub kind of pulling him some directions sometimes here, so he's got to work other parts, to help other coders outside of what is sports here and there. But I know that this was kind of like that we were testing how long it took. So I know that we've got the logos in there. I think we're kind of narrowing down on a company. We're trying to figure out how we want to bring it out, whether we do kind of like it is on the site now, or you have to go into the either rewards menu or wherever it is and purchase it through that way, or if we're going to maybe try to do its own little shop tab, some miscellaneous stuff to just kind of housing stuff on our side. What we're looking to bring out for now, we're going to kind of keep it on the more simpler side. So I know when we got this, we got hat, short sleeve shirt, hoodie, long sleeve shirt, sweatpants. So some of the kind of just generics, but all the way down, so not just a shirt here and there. Chris is like really big into this. He has a lot of visions for what he wants to do with stuff. Like we're working on trying to create, like slogans and gamifying some of the game a little bit. And we want to be able to get people shirts that if they win a national title or whatever, that it puts it on the back or something like that. Or we want to even get like jerseys that you can, have GD logo on or whatever it is and your name on the back or something like that. That's a little further down the line. We aren't anywhere near on that front, but just some stuff that we want to make this, the merchandise really cool and something that people want to purchase, and not just, we only have like 3 extra large shirts left, so you just get what you get kind of a thing. So
well, I know over my years I've gotten quite a few shirts, and I know that at one time Adam had talked about updating the logo or updating the design, and not quite sure how all that evolved and was incorporated, maybe, who knows. But I can recall one instance where I was wearing my What If Sports shirt, and the guy said, "What is that?" And I said, "What If Sports." And he goes, "No, what is that?" And I said, "What If Sports." It was
Right.
kind of like who's on third, and
yeah,
did a little explaining, and don't know if you ever joined or not, but it was just, they're like, "What?"
well, that's kind of the idea behind it. Just spark someone's interest to maybe check it out when
Exactly.
they see us. So
exactly. Maybe add a .com at the bottom so people.
I think Chris wants to do something like that, where it actually maybe lists out the whole website somewhere on like a sleeve or something, just so that it's a little more clear what you need to do.
There you go. Wrap around that. What if sports?
Yeah.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on, and I know we had to do some scheduling adjustments, but able to get it on before the holiday break. Our next show is planned to be around the second week of January. So it's going to be almost a month from now. So that's, good timing.
Time playoffs will come out. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. We get this out there beforehand, and the people that aren't joining us live will get a chance to see it on the channel, and hopefully, jump on up to D1A and crowd D1A as the playoffs. Make some room at the lower levels for some of the other guys to get some of the choice schools. Nobody wants a school that doesn't win. They always want those Valdostas and Humboldts out there in D2 land. So we're definitely looking forward to the playoffs coming, most certainly. Bob's on here, and he's in our Yahoo Fantasy Football League. So if you don't mind, I'm going to bump you for a second, and we're going to show how we're doing there. And if many of y'all remember, I mentioned about a month ago that my team was winning, had no business winning, was in first place there for a while, leading the conference, or my individual division that I was in. And I said right there, we are winning and have no business winning, and we shouldn't be winning. And lo and behold, we went on a 4-game losing streak. So this is what the playoffs look like. My team being jumping Jehoshaphat's there, 9-5. Told you we were looking good for a while. Still able to hold on to third place, and we'll be facing the old Fighting Amish. The Fighting Amish are coached by Shannon. Oh my gosh, Shannon is a character. Love Shannon to death. Looking forward to him kicking my ass here on this one. And Bob Shiners has got a bye. Vinnie Mac has got a bye. Natty Dogs is playing against Bushwood Caddies, and I think that's Ty's team, Bushwood Caddies. So the other guys, those are in the consolation bracket. So playoffs, and we're into it here on the Fantasy Football League. So we'll let you know how it goes. Let's bring Bob and you back on.
Especially if I win. That's how we're going to let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, don't expect a shirt.
At this time,
there is no TTATO swag.
Yeah,
so.
I played in 2 Yahoo leagues this year. One of them was, of course, this one, and then another one that was $100 entry fee, because I actually won like $500 last year.
Whoa!
After winning one of my leagues, and the league that I've gotten money in, that's the team that I've just been decimated by injuries. It's like every week someone else goes down. I'm like, why couldn't this happen in the free league?
Well, there at the onset, you were, getting some scatter shots. So you
quarterback, the quarterback of the week. Usually it's like the week of whatever it is, 1984. At this point, I think I'm going to go back and get Joe Namath or somebody to come off the bench, because Tua Tawaga look at the mugger.
Yeah, that dude
is not cutting it. And when you're down to Baker Mayfield or Carson Wentz, you're in trouble.
Yeah, the good thing is this league, we've got one quarterback.
Yes.
In the other league that I'm in, the one that's a dynasty league, we've had for 8 or 9 years now. My wife's won it a couple of times. My daughter's beat my butt in it several times. It's got 2 quarterbacks. It's not a super flex, but it does have a 2 quarterback position. And luckily for us, there's only, I think, 8 or 10 teams in that league this year, because at one time we were up to 12. And with 2 quarterbacks in a 12-team league, you know, you're down to the scrubs, you know, the guys. You're rooting every Sunday for somebody to get hurt. So
Daniel Jones still playing, or yeah. Who is Taylor Heineke again?
Anybody got Kurt Warner's number?
Yeah.
You can get him on here.
There
But
you go.
yeah, the league has been fun. There's been a lot of good competition, not a whole lot of smack talking. I think everybody's still kind of feeling their way around.
I think, once we get into the second and third year and have a group of owners that stay together, I think the smack talk will pick up.
Yeah, and I'll initiate it, you know, depending on where we are. I didn't want to initiate it while I was in first because I knew my team sucked, and it was just nobody was scoring points when I played them. I had the least opponent points scored for almost 3/4 of the season.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
I'm telling you. So I'm looking forward to the year, you know, picking back up again next season. And for those watching, we'll have some coaches fall out. You know, it's inevitable. So we'll solicit for some team filling.
Get those keeper rules published so people know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because dynasty, you know, the dynasty is a little bit different in keeper. Keeper, you have an X number amount you have to keep. Dynasty, you can keep none or all of them or any number in between. So that recruiting strategy plays in for the upcoming years, as well as, you know, how you draft, because if you're keeping more than everybody else, well, they're going to get to draft players before you do, because it's a matter of filling up that roster.
Sure.
So.
If there's any draft picks available, and we can't trade draft picks yet. So
that's going to be in the works. Jay said that he wants to join. So next year when we get it set up and stuff, definitely give us a holler.
Come on in, Jay. I'm happy to kick your butt too.
Yeah. And you notice Shannon, he kind of, with his fighting Amish team, I should say, he kind of let him simmer for a while. He didn't touch him. You know, he just kind of let it sit and see how things worked out. And
I want to hand you the award that I usually win of most moves in the league by far, but you actually have more than I do, which is shocking for me.
Yeah.
Typically every league that I'm in, I'm like twice as many moves as anybody because I'm always churning my bench. It's like same starters, but I churn my bench all the time.
Yeah, and I'm one of those guys that doesn't believe in using the last picks. I should say I do believe in using the last picks for that kicker and defense, because I believe in churning that defense every week. You know, there's no reason not to. Your defense is not going to have the best game every week. So. Right,
and kickers usually are, unless you just get a team that has a bad week, a kicker's normally going to get you the same amount of points as any. Yeah. 2 or 3 point difference in a game might make a difference, but typically we haven't had a lot of really squeakers this year. We've had a lot of blowouts. But
I think I've won a game or lost a game by like 6 points, but there's been some.
Yeah. Even that's not really a squeaker. We haven't had a lot of 1 and 2 point games. But
I tell you what, there was last year, and I can't remember exactly, but last year I won our dynasty league, and I won it by like 0.03.
Wow.
The championship game, and to get to the championship game, I won by like 0.07. Yeah. And it was a matter of a quarterback dropping down at the end of the game.
Taking a knee. I hate that. I hate that. You're like, oh, there's -1 rushing yards. No, it's
exactly. And that's what put me into the championship game. So it's
3 years ago. 3 years ago, I lost the game by half a point after a scoring correction. So I actually had won the game on Tuesday morning. Thursday, they did a scoring correction, and I ended up losing the game because of it. That hurts.
Oh, yeah, you got drunk for nothing,
man. If I'd scored more points, it would have mattered.
You got wasted for nothing. Well, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up. I don't think anybody has any more questions for Jordan. I don't see any popping up. And Bob, unless you've got something for him.
Jordan, my offer is still up there, man.
I saw that. I
Available for sale.
One mil.
Well, I might even settle for $500,000.
I've got the ink pen if you got the checkbook, Jordan.
I'll give you a 10% inking bonus.
Appreciate it.
There you go. And free donuts for the rest of your life.
There you go.
That's right. And I'll buy you a Dallas Stars hat, Jordan. So,
abs all day.
get out of here. Hang that man up.
Lord have mercy. Guys, I appreciate you popping on. And Jordan, thanks so much for getting us updated on this. I'm sure that the boards will probably be flooded with questions and several threads about how this is going to unravel. And I'm sure that even once it starts, somebody's going to bitch. You can't please everybody. Somebody's going to bitch.
Yeah.
But
it'll be that 33rd team that doesn't get in now instead of the third team.
Yeah, but to that person that gripes, or that group of people that gripe, hats off to you. It's America, brother. You got the opportunity to do so, and sometimes good things come from people griping. And
the first time you get a 5 or an 8 and 5 32nd seed that ends up winning the championship.
That's going to be the first season everywhere. We're going to give the 8 seeds above so that it looks all broken.
And they got in by 0.1 point. Exactly. Weird safety at the last minute. But Jay says, thanks, Bob, for all you do for What Is Sports with your GD, and kudos to this, that, and the other as well from Jay.
I've had a few GDs being dropped on me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they meant Gridiron Dynasty. It was something slightly different. But
hey, there's a T-shirt. I love playing GD.
There you go.
Well, look, guys, thanks so much.
And
everybody
everybody
have a good holiday. Enjoy your Christmas. Have a safe New Year, and definitely look forward to seeing everybody back here. And hopefully, I can make it to the playoffs and win this fantasy football, because Lord knows I can't win anything on Gridiron Dynasty.
If that's
you just got one, I think.
Yeah, if that's a consideration, I'm a 10-time fantasy football winner, because
I need to get me a hat or a crown or something.
That's right.
Give me some
can't win at GD. Get a special hat, man.
That's right. When you can't win, you host.
That's right.
Guys, thanks again. We'll holler at you next year.